All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So in this week's video, we're going to be looking at why there are so many Amazon FBA failures. Now, Amazon sellers can fail for many reasons, whether they've chosen the wrong product, maybe they didn't have a suitable budget, or maybe they just picked a really poor niche. But there can be many reasons why a seller will fail. But I think there is a common denominator behind all of those choices, and that's what I'm going to be going over in this video. So what I'm talking about is the mindset, because the mindset impacts everything. If you have the wrong mindset, then you'll make poor choices. So in this video, we're going to go through 10 things that I want you guys to be aware of, so that when you're making decisions for your FBA business, hopefully you'll keep these in mind and make sure you make decisions for the right reasons and not because of what is going on in the back of your mind. So the first one, and this is the one I see a lot, especially through the mentoring program that I run, and that is impatience. Now, I completely understand it. When you discover Amazon FBA, it is very exciting. You know, it's this opportunity for many of us to get away from jobs that maybe we don't like, or maybe there's things about our lifestyle at the moment that we don't like. And we see Amazon FBA as either the way there or pathway there, or maybe a stepping stone towards that. So when we discover this business opportunity, we get very excited. It sounds very straightforward, the actual model. So there's a lot of impatience. We just want to get going. And unfortunately with Amazon FBA, things take time, from doing the initial research so you understand the whole model, to doing the product research, finding a good product, going through the whole process from getting samples, placing your bulk order, getting it shipped over to the UK, doing all of the branding, the marketing, photography. Stuff does take time. But unfortunately, due to the impatience, which kind of comes from that excitement, sometimes people make poor choices, they cut corners, they rush things. And that is why I have put this as number one, as I believe it is the biggest thing. So if you have just discovered Amazon FBA and you find it as exciting as I do, and many of the other people that subscribe to this channel do, just be patient. You know, you've waited many years. I would imagine if you're watching this video, you're probably at least 18 years old. So you've waited at least 18 years to find this business model. There's no need to rush it. You don't need to be done within 2 weeks. You know, be patient, give it that 3-4 months it needs to really get the business up and running, and that will enhance your chances of success. Number two is expectations. And I would say partly the YouTube gurus, I don't know if you're going to include myself in that as well, are to blame for this. You know, Amazon FBA sounds super exciting. It would promise it's going to change your life. Well, I don't promise it's going to change your life, but some of the gurus promise it's going to change your life. You only need one product, it will change your life. So you set these expectations. So if you're going to start this business, you're going to do it as quickly as possible, and big things are going to change. And unfortunately, because of those expectations, again, that can cause poor choices. So your expectations, take some time to do the research. Get the expectations that are right for you and your business. You know, don't expect to be making £20,000-30,000 off one product, the first product you ever launch. Maybe if you aim for maybe £500 or £1,000 per month, those expectations are much more achievable and are much less likely to lead to failure where you try to pursue products when maybe you shouldn't have gone after them. For example, you might pick a product where you need to sell 3,000 or 4,000 units per month to compete and get ranked, which isn't really viable for a lot of new sellers. So you may be better off just picking a lower demand product that you only need to sell 100 to 200 units of per month instead. That brings me on to rigid thinking, and I see this a lot with product research. And again, I'm going to blame the gurus for this and a lot of the teachings on YouTube. People have this idea in mind as to what makes a good product, and a lot of this is based on the criteria that's dished out online. Now, I've released some examples of different product criteria in the past, but I always say develop your own criteria that is right for you and your individual circumstances. But I would say if you're going to ask me what's a traditional FBA product research criteria, I would say you're looking for a product that sells 300 units per month, that's in a low competitive niche, which they're judging by how many people have 3-figure reviews. So they say no more than, for example, 10 sellers with 3-figure reviews. At least half of the people on the first page must have single or double digit reviews to give yourself a chance, which isn't true. And I've covered that in previous videos. And other things as well, avoid large products. You don't want to touch large products. And lots of these rigid thinkings that have come from the teachings that are on YouTube leads us down kind of this same pigeonhole that many other sellers do, and we all end up finding the same products or missing out on great opportunities because they don't fit this rigid thinking or this rigid product research criteria. So always keep that in mind. And again, this brings us on to analysis paralysis, and this really goes hand in hand with rigid thinking and expectations. We have these goals that we want to achieve, so finding the right product becomes almost impossible because this product has to tick all of these boxes that either we've been given as a product research criteria on YouTube or to hit these maybe lofty expectations we have. So again, often we miss out on these opportunities. So analysis paralysis often comes about because maybe we have these slightly unrealistic goals. So if you're a bit more flexible with your approach to your goals of your product and also the types of products you're trying to find, hopefully you won't get stuck at this stage. And analysis paralysis is just a term you'll hear that only applies to other people. Number 5, I've got fear of failure. And I'm not saying that people are scared of starting the Amazon FBA business. Where I see fear of failure come in is more to do with financial loss. As ultimately, probably the worst case scenario with an Amazon FBA business, if things don't go to plan, worst case, you're just going to lose money. And the fear of failure or the fear of loss of finance comes in when people have done the initial investments, so they've set up their business and they've invested in their first product. But then maybe they're reluctant to invest a bit more. So maybe getting the branding done really well, maybe some nice packaging, maybe a good insert. And then when the actual products arrive in the UK, investing in a full launch. And this is an area I see a lot of people fail at, or not necessarily fail at, but they don't put the necessary budget into it. So they'll be like, well, I've got a £4,000 budget for Amazon FBA. I spent £3,000 on products and £500 on setting up the business. So I've now got £500 for PPC to make this product work. And unfortunately, they're not willing to invest any more money than that, as they don't want to put themselves at any more financial risk. And I completely understand that. But it's that fear of failure, the fear of going wrong and the fear of losing that £500 that is actually leading to the failure in the first place, as you need to invest whatever it takes to get that product launched. So it might be the case you need to invest £1,000 or £2,000 in PPC to get the product launched. So don't get to the point where you're so close, but that final bit of fear of failure, the fear of investing that additional amount just to get there, cause the whole business model to fail, because it's all about launching your product, spending what is necessary to get your products ranked organically so you can actually start making some profit. Number 6, uncontrolled emotion, which is very, very difficult to control with Amazon FBA, as there are so many areas that can mess about with it. You know, if discovering Amazon FBA is very exciting, launching your first product is exciting and scary. Paying for your first order, your first bulk order, committing thousands of pounds, again, is exciting and scary. Dealing with seller support is super frustrating, and all these emotions will creep up, and it's how you react to them. And I find the best sellers are people that have the most success. When things happen, they try to leave emotion out of it. I'm not saying be emotionless, as ultimately that's what we're here for, to make some money, which hopefully will make your life better. So hopefully you can be happier. So it's all about emotion really in the long run. But I'm just saying, when these difficult moments pop up with Amazon FBA, the more that you can leave emotion out of it and just treat the facts that are there on the table, I think the better seller that you will be. And following on from that, you do have lack of acceptance. So for example, I myself always get frustrated with seller support. So I try to leave emotion out of it, but I know seller support are generally very, very poor. And I've just had to come to accept that when I contact seller support, quite often their initial reply will be absolutely useless. And sometimes it will take 2, 3, 4, even 5 attempts to get the answer I actually need. And that applies to various areas of Amazon FBA. Sometimes you just have to accept things are the way they are. For example, maybe you've got a successful product and all of a sudden the niche changes, or maybe supplier costs come up so much that the product is no longer viable. We can spend ages getting caught up on that. We can let our uncontrolled emotions loose, or we can just try to accept things that they are what they are. Then we move on and focus on how we can go forward rather than trying to change what isn't currently working. Number 8 is self-doubt. And again, this is one that is completely understandable. Many people that are starting an Amazon FBA business, it is possibly their first kind of venture into starting their own business. So there's always a lot of self-doubt. I had this many years ago when I started my first business. Am I doing the right thing? Considering starting my own business, what about reliable employment? So there's just self-doubt there. You have self-doubt from others as well, depending on what your support circle is like. But that self-doubt can be crippling. And I've seen so many people that I know who would one day love to have their own business, but that self-doubt has always held them back. So it's okay to have self-doubt. It's completely understandable to have it, but just be aware of it and make sure it's not the thing that stops you at least having a crack at this business or whichever business model you choose to pursue. And directly going hand in hand with self-doubt is validation seeking. And this is an area where I see a lot of people do go wrong with their product choices. They do weeks or maybe months of research on Amazon FBA. They then spend quite a few days or a couple of weeks finding a good product. And I think, yes, I've got a product. And then maybe they speak to the family or friends and they go, oh no, I don't think that's a good product. Or maybe they think it is a good product. And they're seeking validation from the wrong people. If you're becoming an Amazon FBA seller, if you're trying to get validation, you want to speak to other people that are doing it. One of the sayings I saw online a week or so ago was, don't ask the fish how they want to be caught, ask the fisherman. And I think that applies to Amazon FBA. If you want to know if you've got a good product, you need to speak to other sellers, not friends and family who don't really understand the Amazon FBA model. So validation seeking can cause your business to fail, as you might start changing your product based on what friends and families think, whereas you should be basing it on the research you've done, the cold hard stats you can see using things such as sales estimator tools, and also from speaking to other Amazon sellers. So if you want to do that, make sure you sign up to the FBA Elite forums. We've got a community of Amazon FBA sellers on there. I've also got the mentorship program on there if you ever want my advice on a product as well. And then finally, overthinking. We all do this. It's very similar to analysis paralysis, but I'd say it's more of a general issue. Most people with analysis paralysis get stuck at the product research stage. The overthinking, I think, is a danger to other areas of the business model. So I've seen people waste weeks or months trying to come up with a company name, or get really hung up on the exact design of a logo, or spend ages designing a packaging box. Something like, I'm not saying all of these things don't have value, but you don't want to waste weeks and months on each of these individual items. And sometimes overthinking means you never actually make any progress, as you spend too much time focused on the wrong things. So make sure you spend enough time on the most important things, i.e. finding the right product for you, developing that product fully. Make sure you take care of all the other things such as packaging, product inserts, branding. But the key thing with your product is you have a product that sells on Amazon. That is where your sale is going to be made. So make sure everything that's visible on Amazon is top notch. Your listing is fully optimized. Your photography is great. All of those things are the things that make the real difference, not necessarily the package that your box comes in, unless of course you're going to have your packaging as part of your main photo. That is part of the customer experience. But again, try not to overthink every area, just focus on the things that are most critical. So hopefully that gives you a good insight of some of the things that I've seen from mentoring probably a few hundred people over the past 2 years, some of the common attributes that I see that leads to people having issues becoming an Amazon FBA seller. If you are thinking about becoming an Amazon FBA seller and you want to see a checklist, I'm going to pop up a video in front of me now that I'd recommend. That gives you every step that you need to go through to launch an Amazon FBA business. And I'll see you guys in the next video.